In this 8th round, there were some pretty amazing games that were played. So we're going to start with the first one that was played between two Grandmasters with an actually equal rating. The rating of both was 2651, which is pretty awesome. And the game was incredibly feisty, so I'd like to give you my thoughts on that, and hopefully you're going to enjoy it and like it as much as I did. It was really, indeed, a very beautiful game. So it started with e4, e6, d4, d5, knight c3, and, after that, what happens is there was the move of knight c3, knight f6, e5, and f4. So white got to support the center. This is one of the main lines that is supposed to follow. It's a pretty good variation, I have to say. And it looked nice. Okay, so white, after the move f4, just as it was, of course, black plays with c5 in order to shift some challenge or attack against the center. It makes lots of sense. So after knight f3, black does knight c6, bishop e3, and bishop e7. Queen d2 was followed by an actual castling, and we are starting to get a really interesting game, especially after black's latest move, which was castling on the short side. Now what's going on after that? This is really interesting. Once the castling has been played, what we can see is that ultimately white played with d6 to the c just right away. And now that was pretty awesome. d6 to the c was a quick move that seems to set up the activity and prepare us for some pretty powerful sequences to follow against black's position. Now that doesn't mean that this is a really great variation, but it means that it's a good start. And indeed, it actually is a fairly good start. After d6 to the c, black plays knight x to the c. Long castles is what happened. And right after the long castling, black played with the move of a6. So he was clear on one thing. Black just wanted to get this easy development as quickly as possible, and that would help him to avoid any major complications or anything too big from happening. It was a good start. a6 was a nice move. So what's happening in the game is that white played h4. Pretty good move. We could easily get to understand why the move is played. It is all about the h5 idea, which would further on help with the plan of h4, h5 to h6. It's good. It was very well played. After the move h4, of course, black played with queen a5, after which white did the move of king to b1. And yes, the king looks extremely safe in this moment, so we don't have to worry about him being able to come anywhere close or starting with anything dangerous as of that matter. So I have to admit, it felt alright. Now after that move, black plays with b5. Now, what can I say about that move? You see, I don't want to say that it is a move to fear, because it's really not that much of a dangerous move. This is a move to look into and then basically say to ourselves, it's not like that scary. It's just a normal attacking type of variation. However, black hopes to get this quick initiative going. Now usually we are very well aware of the fact that opening of the position is going to have some very devastating effect if it is not done well, if it is hurried, rushed, or anything of that regard. And that is sort of similar to what is about to happen. However, there is something important that takes place here. White plays bishop d3, and I don't believe that this was a really good move. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not wish to say that it was a bad move or it was like a really terrible idea or anything like that. Not at all. I mean, I think it was fine. But what was the actual problem of the move itself? The problem of that move, in my opinion, was that with the move of knight to the bishop to the d3, the main issue is that white is while developing the bishop fairly nice around the black king and preparing it for further activities and action out there, he kind of didn't follow the most important, which is what? The most important is to block the center and just move along with the attack. I think that this is probably the major thing that was actually missing in this position, because white really had to do it. He had to take on the possibility and really arrange the activity. With knight a8, knight d4. Most likely, if he did play with the move of knight at the d4, things would have gone very differently, because black wouldn't have had the chance to play so well. I mean, in case of knight d4, knight takes d4, there's even knight takes d5. That actually kills off the possibility for black to look for anything as good, and we could see the danger really appearing of those moves. It's a pretty solid continuation. Hardly anything good can happen. Yeah, that would have been very, very good, and seriously, that was important. Bishop d3 offers black on a plate to take that bishop, and this is not a good idea. You have to understand that it is extremely important to preserve pieces like this bishop, because the bishop, as it was right there, is incredibly valuable. It is a piece that we'd like to keep together, avoid complicating, avoid exchanging, and now it's getting quite the opposite. We are offering him the ability to take on that bishop, after which it's just getting ugly. So, well, after all, when knight e2 happened, black ultimately exchanged it, and it does feel like he's having quite a bit of an advantage out there with this trade. It's just not great to see this position, but it's happening nevertheless. And so, yeah, well, after that exchange takes, there was the take, queen b5. Naturally, black is going for the trade of the queens. He'd like to do move of pawn to a5 most likely, and it does look good. It does look really good, if I have to say. Well, in the end of the day, white has to move the queen back, but then without the bishop, again, the main difficulty really is that there is no way to prove anything. There's no attacking opportunities. There's no real challenge. Black is going forward with that pawn on the line, and we just have to suffer as he's coming forward and ready to apply extra pressure. It's not a very convenient position. That's what I want to say, I guess. That's basically it. And okay, so as a result, when the pawn arrives at the square of a5, there are way too many difficulties. His bishop is going to come into the a6 next move, and it's just getting ugly. Well, after that, knight d4, knight xd, queen c4, g4, f6. Now, I believe that black made a little bit of a mistake on his own by playing the move of pawn up to the f6. I mean, he wasn't supposed to do that sort of move. This move really seems to weaken the position in front of the king side, and it gives white an opportunity to get back in the game. It was a really nice continuation that actually what black decided to do. I don't think it was such a good move for him to play it, so it was good when he did, so that white gets in the game with his own activity. E takes f, h5, h6, and rook e1. The game continues to be extremely complex. Black is advancing on queen side in hope that perhaps he'll get ready to advance and attack quickly out there. And while it does make a lot of sense, whatever he's doing in that side of the board, white's on the other hand advancing on the opposite area, which is towards the king side, in hope to quickly get ready and challenge, shift some threats towards that side. It's a pretty beautiful position for both from both perspectives. After the move of bishop d7, then there was bishop f2, rook e8, knight f3 here, and bishop to the d4. I do not wish to say that the move of knight f3 was good though in this type of position, because so after rook fe8, there was knight f3 going backward, which was not exactly one of the things that I suppose white wanted, but it was sort of necessary that he does it. And then when he did, black played b3. Why does white go backward? A lot of people who look at this position are going to just tell themselves, I don't know. I mean, this really doesn't look like a good option. White is retreating, he's moving back his pieces, he's not doing as good. Why? Why would somebody wish to do something like this? It's a weird move. It doesn't look like it's proper. In a way, that is true. In a way, that is very true. It does not look like it's a really proper move. So why does white do it then? Why does he go like this at all in the first place? And the reason is very simple. White needed to improve his worst place piece. I often see so many people really forget completely of the idea to improve the worst place piece, and I like to say that don't forget it. Like, seriously, this is one of the most important things that you should never forget. Just don't. Think about this. What is my worst place piece? And then give it your best to really fix that, because if you don't fix that, it's going to be difficult. Just that is the one problem that we're having in this position. Black has a real difficulty with, I mean, if that bishop could be moved away, then things would have gone very well, but it's not possible. It's not that easy. So that's what's really happening in the position. Always think, what is my worst place piece? The one worst. Every time when you think about what is the worst place piece and you discover it, this is the first thing that you've got to improve. White knew very well that the first thing that needs to be improved right now is basically to get that bishop into the battle. And it's pretty clear that it has to happen now. It has to happen quickly, and it has to happen in time. This is very, very necessary to be there. So with the move of knight f3, just as it took place in the game, it was basically after b3, bishop d4, e5, and the take, we could actually get to see what's going on in the moment. Like, White is able to take in that pawn quickly. He is forcing the black bishop to basically come back in the position, and actually it does look really good, because without that, black is not given that much of a possibility to challenge or counter or do anything that good. He's got to go. Actually, he played bishop takes g4, e takes f, b takes to the c2, and I think this was probably the mistake. Black left his piece hanging. Not a very good option for him. Now, what I believe Black had to do was most likely a move like queen takes to the c2, or even bishop to the d8 would have been actually a fair idea to go back with. It would have helped him to consolidate the position and, for the most part, just keep everything together. Was it going to be perfect? Certainly not, but it would at least have guaranteed him some solidity in the position, and that matters a lot in these positions. Like, make sure that everything is more or less solid and connected, so it's good. What happened is Black played bishop takes g4, and that really does not work good. Why? Well, for one, because that move just helps us to take with e takes f, which is great, ultimately. There is f7 to take place very quickly, and then the second reason why it is not working well is because, I mean, seriously, what is Black supposed to do now? Like, there is a very significant problem of f7. There is knight g5 going to take place quickly, and the majority of Black's pieces are just bad looking. It's everything that an attack of this kind could be like. Very difficult situation for Black. B takes to the c, queen takes to the c2, and now we can get to understand why that's a problematic position. After that, there's bishop f5, queen takes f. I believe that this was more or less the move that most likely Black missed. It's not a move that's easy to expect, really. I mean, like a queen sacrifice, who would expect that happening? And yet, it is a brilliant candidate, because that move by itself simply completely wipes out whatever Black had in mind in order to get the game going. It's beautiful, it's effective, it's clear, and really it takes him down. That is awesome. One of the things that you want to be able to discover about such positions is sort of ask yourself, what do I need? Like, in these positions, what do I need to do? And then suddenly we realize that the only thing that we need to do is just to take that piece down and then open up more lines. Opening up more files is essential, because when you're able to open up more lines against your opponent, usually that guarantees a huge attack coming against your opponent, and it's actually happening. It does get to happen shortly. He takes, and then after that take, there is queen to the rook to the g1, king to f8, and yes, of course, now we are at a perfect position to continue with the move that is most necessary. And what is that? Well, it's knight g5. See, it's kind of important because Black cannot hold his position together. There is this knight coming down. There is the remaining other pieces in line with the attack, and there is basically After rook to the e7, knight takes h7, as king e8, a3, white's advantage was clear. What I would say though that white needed to do, perhaps just to make sure to assure his advantage, make it more certain, was possibly knight g5. With a move like knight g5, white would have guaranteed an incredibly strong position for his pawn, like f7, as we can see is going to be a killer, a pretty big killer. And then after that, in case black goes away, we have f7 on the line. Rook takes e1, rook takes e1, and even in case of queen takes to the d, there is knight e6. Otherwise, there is an actual checkmate coming down there, which is pretty big. And to be honest, I would love to be in a position like that. I'd love to have a situation like this. It's fairly clear why that gets pretty bad for black, and yeah, it's good. It's good for white to make it work. One of the things you don't want to forget is how coordination works, and that often the forcing moves themselves are great, but they are not the ones that guarantee us the advantage. What often guarantees us the advantage is the follow-up, the actual setup that we're able to build. Knight g5, rook e2, knight takes h7 led to this, a3, and now black got out. Really, it's hard to believe it, but he really got out. He doesn't have to worry anymore about serious tactics or big threats. He's presently challenging the pawn out there that we have, and it is almost unbelievable how quickly this game starts becoming so bad. Just in a few moves time, 1, 2, and that's just awful. Yeah, that's what's happening. Then we do is look at king a1, rook b3, f7, king takes f7, little check to make his king retreat, but once it goes back, it is more or less the end of it. There is no more advantage. There's no chance to attack him anymore. Even in case of knight f6, he's just going to escape, and it's kind of incredible. But really, this is the end. Check here, and white made a big mistake here. What was the mistake? King a1. I love quiet moves. I think that quiet moves are essential, and then many times when we get to play them, they're like good to follow, nice to be played. It's just good to have these moves, okay? So I like them a lot. Now, what is it that I hate about that move here? It's just that we don't want to choose those moves. You see, what you want to do is to think about moves that help you to keep the attack on against your opponent, make it good. But you don't want to choose and slow down, because slowing down by itself is what your opponent will expect you to do in order to take advantage. You don't want to be in position to challenge and like to get in such to make a move. After king a1, rook to the b3, white spent an important tempo that's just brilliant for black to move in, go inside the white position in white's territory, and start causing plenty of problems while we get nothing to do on our own. That is not cool. But you know, there wasn't a whole lot else to do really about this. It's just, this is very valuable. Think about that. You need to be able to create threats. What did white have to do so that he could avoid doing getting into that? Well, there were plenty of moves, I believe, but to me personally, what would have been better would have been maybe, actually, let's see, rook c1 would attack the queen, and in case the queen takes here, there's rook g8, which would be winning. King f7, rook takes b8. If black doesn't move the queen out of the way, if after rook c1 he plays something like queen d3 check, there is king a1. And again, the important thing here is that we will be setting up threats. We'll be causing problems. We'll be making it more difficult for our opponent to decide or like manage or like what he will do. So this is why I often like to say creating the threats is a really big deal, because when you're able to create threats, when you're able to set up challenges, that helps you to get the advantage. It was very valuable to find that out. And yeah, this is why ultimately the game is going bad for white. We spent an incredibly important tempo on a retreating move, something that wasn't supposed to be done at all. And then, okay, after king a1, rook b3, f7, king takes f7, check, and then king e8, we can easily realize why that's just not good. I mean, like, right now, it's like black is running away. He's got a very nice retreating square. He doesn't have to worry about any tactical things or complications or whatever it is that we're planning to do against him. And yeah, well, that's what's happening. So then knight f6 was a good start with the idea of rook to the g8, knight takes d5, and even the check here. But yeah, then he gets the two rooks to moving together, and we haven't got really a whole lot to do on our own. So just keeps checking and checking and checking and checking, and so yeah, and so on and so on. This is why you must be super careful. I think white made the huge mistake here, but this was probably the most interesting game. So I'd like to mention the key points again. Rule number 1 about this game, what was critical was white started the good attack. He slowed down, which was necessary, but he gave away the light square bishop. One of the most relevant pieces is the light square bishop. Letting it go is a pretty big disadvantage by itself. You don't want to do that except if you don't feel like you really need to do so, and that was a problem. Just don't. Like, this is important. Another important thing that I'd like to mention came a little further. I mean, down the line after bishop to the d3 and knight e2, after a couple of the exchanges, knight d4 exchange, g4, e takes f, h5, h6. While all of these moves were more or less okay, black's major mistake was to hurry. I think he rushed it a little bit, and he allowed white to take over the advantage. Now, what white missed was the ability to continue. See, people don't get to continue very often. They do a variety of different things, but they don't get to continue. And what is extremely important is that you always think about, how do I get to hold the pressure? How do I keep the attack on the line? How do I make it work? It was a very valuable idea to now deliver the move of knight g5. Because with a move like this one, we could see the real reason why that would help. It would have been an excellent candidate, strong idea to plan for f7, and it was good. Was it perfect? I don't know, but it was good. It was good nevertheless, and sure, would have been a really awesome idea to come forward with. Yeah, and okay, I want to say one more thing, one last thing, which is ultimately for the rook to g1. What helped white to get the attack going was the attack and the initiative. The problem was, however, that the moment the pawn to a3 came and king a1 happened, white lost that steam, and he could no longer continue or hold on to the idea of attacking. Why? Because he had to go backward, and going backward is never good. When you go backward, you retreat, you basically push yourself on a bad looking position, and that's not something you want to do. Those are just a few little things that really matter in this game. I hope it makes sense, but in case you have any questions or something else, you can comment on the video below, and I will be glad to give an answer, because this was such a highly instructive game.